Hello, everybody. This is Paul Herman, the Prince of Motivation and host of Zaka Presents My Journey. We're creating this vulnerable and positive platform where you can get inspired and motivated from different leaders from our community. Today, our guest is transformation coach, Anita Nosworthy. How you doing, Anita?
I'm great, Paul. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm ready to dive in and hear all about all the meals and the vegans and the vegetarian. You got a lot of stuff going on over there. And I know the listeners want to know about how you started your journey as a transformation coach and like where you are currently. But before we get into your business, could you tell us a little bit more about, where you're from, a little bit of your background?
Sure. I am from Jamaica. I was born in Kingston, Jamaica, near Cherry Gardens, and I lived there for about 5 years. My mother and I moved to Canada when I was 5 years old. My mom was a single mom at the time, and we moved to North York, Toronto. I wasn't necessarily in health and fitness at the time. When I moved from Jamaica to Toronto, it was a massive change in my system. Culturally, it was okay. Nutritionally, there was a massive change because when I was in Jamaica, obviously I was eating, and back then I was eating a lot more whole foods. The foods were much more natural. We didn't have as much processed foods or commercial chains necessarily in Jamaica. So all the foods that we were eating were home cooked foods, natural foods, mangoes from the tree, and things that I might have taken for granted. Even the snacks were just like coconut, grater cake or whatever, but it was still like a natural kind of snack. So when I came to Canada, it was a massive change in my digestive system. So I started experiencing a lot of digestive issues. When I first came, I also had a lot of weight gain. And of course I was a child, I was small, but my mother was also very small. And as a child, I started realizing that I kind of had somewhat of body image issues, but not really. I was very self-conscious about my body, even though I wasn't necessarily overweight. So in that, I think my mom, and I think most people, when your stomach is upset, they want to give you some herb and some senna and some laxative tea.
And some tea, that's right. Caribbean people have to have the tea.
The concoctions.
Yes, that's inside of the kitchen cabinet somewhere.
Exactly.
You get a cut on your leg, drink some tea.
So any problem, there was a herb or a tea to have. But that wasn't necessarily solving the issue. You're asking how I started my journey?
Yeah. Like, no, I'm in regards to your background. Like, just like you said, you talking about just coming from Jamaica into Canada. And like you said, it was a culture shock. And obviously with the food as well, to the processed food. Like, could you explain, like, what is like a cuisine in Jamaica that you would love to eat?
My favorite meal, even to this day, is still ackee and shellfish. I used to probably eat it more fried dumpling or like bami or like fried plantain or, all that stuff, which is fine still because it's whole food, it's real food. I still eat it now, but it's more like boiled or baked.
Okay, not to fry.
Yeah, okay. Oxtail is like, a traditional meal. Everybody loves their jerk chicken. Now I learned the skin is more of an issue, but you can still jerk chicken and have the flavor and still the deliciousness of your meals. A good patty is always nice.
Yeah, because that is, and obviously you talked about it just briefly. You said about how you were eating those types of food, but it was very fresh.
Yeah, it was fresh, and I still eat it now. So now even when I go to eating foods, like ethnic foods are actually the better option. It's just the ways you cook it. And I've learned to manipulate that so that you can have the flavor. You can still enjoy your ethnic meals and without compromising your health, because ethnic foods is going to be way more healthy and nutritious for you than any fast food restaurant you're going to go to. So that's something I've discovered. But my background definitely is West Indian. I definitely seem to attract a lot of West Indian or cultural people that I train, and having flavor in our foods and deliciousness and still feeling satisfied is always really important. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when you came to the US, obviously you went to Canada. What about schooling? Was schooling in Canada? Did you go somewhere else? Like, how did you go into like your university? How did you become that transformation coach? Like,
so if I go back a little bit to that child that came from Jamaica and had the culture shock with the food and then the digestive issues and then the skin issues, I started exercising and like really, you're trying to diet and trying to do all these different things in order to make yourself feel better, which I ended up realizing was probably causing more of an issue. So in high school, I started running track and I started appreciating the benefits of exercise on your mental health, on self-confidence. And then while I was exercising and I was more competing, I started realizing the importance of nutrition. And so in experiencing the transformations that I was having and the benefits that I was having through exercise, and then even just the small changes I was making in nutrition, I started realizing that I wanted to really educate people and show people the power of movement and nutrition on your life, on your confidence, on your well-being, on your energy, on your drive. And wholeheartedly, because I've experienced it firsthand, I wanted to help other people realize it didn't have to be so hard. It didn't have to be so calculated or whatever. And over the many years that I've been doing this, I've realized that it's more of a lifestyle change. But the reason why I went into transformational coaching is because of the impact it's had on my own personal life.
When you were coming up as a transformation coach, or even before, was there someone that kind of inspired you to be a transformation coach? Was your mother, was she into fitness or nutrition?
Not at a young age. I think I had done a co-op program back in the day. There were co-op programs, and it was just a personal experience. I can't say there's anybody in my family or anybody that was directly around me that had inspired me as I've gone through, and I've connected with a lot of, professionals. The people who have inspired me as I've come along the way. There's a person by the name of Paul Check. The people that most have inspired me are like the holistic people, because when I was on my journey, I did study nutrition, and it was more like calories in, calories out.
That's like the basic way of doing it. Well, not basic, but I'm saying that's the start of it sometimes.
Yeah. And that's the part that people kind of get stuck on, because you can be eating a lot of artificial foods with artificial sweeteners, trying to decrease your calories, but you're eating a lot of these chemicals that are actually inflaming your body, making you unhealthy. And an unhealthy body is never going to be the optimal body, right? So people are constantly fighting for this decrease in calorie and the skinny body, but they're not fighting for a healthy body. And a healthy body is going to operate much better and look much better than just a skinny body. Because a skinny body that's not necessarily healthy, you're fighting against your body's natural tendency to want to be healthy. So that's why it's a constant effort and struggle, because you're fighting against your body's natural tendencies to be healthy. But if you go from the health route first, get healthy from the inside out, the body will naturally shed fat. It will naturally become leaner. It will naturally have energy. It'll naturally feel good. So.
Okay. You just broke something down right there. So tell us, like, what is a typical day for you? Like, how do you help others? Like, what does that look like?
I help people in many different ways. Like I have programs that are like 4 or 6 week programs that are more like jumpstart programs. I have one-on-one coaching, which is very much more in depth. So it's like personal training or coaching, which is like you personally, what is we get real in depth with your poop and your energy and your sleep, and then training like physically one-on-one, what specific is happening in your body and how to change it. And then I have a group community program, which I personally benefited from significantly from one point in my life. So I've created this program to create more of like an empowering it's more of a women's community, but the guys do show up to just to create an environment of like-minded people moving towards a positive, healthful goal, basically.
And I don't think we touched base on, where are you located now currently?
I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Oh, okay. So you stayed up there.
Yeah, I was never in the States. I went straight from Jamaica to Toronto, and then I moved around within Canada. But yeah, I'm Canadian.
Okay. No, I get it. I mean, it's pretty cold up there, I'm assuming, right now.
It's very cold. It's like minus temperatures today.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, that's why you stay inside and start eating healthy. That's
right. So much easier. We can't go anywhere. We're also on lockdowns too, so that makes it so much easier. Now, but being on lockdowns, you can also stay home and eat yourself into a frenzy. So that is true. There's 2 ways you could do this.
It could go either way.
You really could.
Now, obviously, you said that you ran track at one point, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sprinter?
You know what? They kept making me sprint. I really felt like I'm a long distance runner, but I was running 100s and relays. So I don't know.
do, do you think that the fitness mindset that you had in track kind of inspired you a little bit more to do what you're doing now? Like this being an athlete, you know, having that strong connection. Because I know obviously your coaches probably at one point were like, you got to work out, you got to have a strong mindset. Do you feel like that kind of contribute to your success?
Yeah, but you know what? I really find that most people really focus on the workout. Like the workout is the easy part. You can show up for an hour, 2 hours, get your workout in, but the nutrition is what makes the big difference. Your body is 75% of how your body looks and feels is your nutrition. So when I was running track, one of the reasons why nutrition became important to me is because when you're trying to lose the weight, you're just trying to look at the numbers on your scale or your body fat. When you're running track, you're looking at performance. So, or when you're doing any kind of sport or competitive thing where you're trying to perform better and you realize that you can train physically for something, but if you're not providing the fuel for your body to repair and recover and have the energy to do what you needed to do, then you're at a disadvantage. So me running track got me interested in nutrition because I'm like, okay, you know what? If I'm eating better and I'm fueled better, your coach starts telling you, you know, like carb load and do all these different things. And that's when I started realizing, okay, it's not just my physical training. It's like I actually have to be nourished in order to perform and do this thing properly, to recover, to, you know, have speed and energy for the day, to sleep, you know, the night before, all these different things that have a major factor. And most people really only focus on the workout.
Mm-hmm. And when you brought up the track thing, it kind of like resonated with me because I was a track runner myself too.
Oh yeah, what did you run?
The 400 meters.
Okay, I felt like I should be in the 400 meter, but they weren't feeling it. They were like, "No, 100 for you."
Yeah, like this little girl right here, she's gonna float through the wind.
I was like, "Come on, man." No, but 400 is harder because you have to maintain that speed for a longer distance. Or maybe that wasn't my jam, but I felt in my spirit I was a 400 runner.
And it's like it could. I think it's a direct correlation to the mindset.
Yes.
So any athlete, you know, at the end of the day, and the race that you do or the sport that you do is just that mindset, knowing how to run that race at its best. Now, how do you think like with fitness and nutrition, how does that contribute to like someone's mindset? Do you feel like that's a direct correlation? It helps them out
with the training?
With fitness and like nutrition, you were just talking about, it does. Do you think that helps change someone's mindset? If someone's like, I'm going to work out, I'm going to be eating healthy, do you feel like their mindset is connected to that, or it could be separate? Because do you feel like some people might work out and have good nutrition, but still have poor mindsets?
Yeah, so I think it can kind of work both ways. So you can be approaching fitness and nutrition with self-hate or like I need to change or something's wrong with me mindset, which makes the journey like that much more challenging and harder. Or you could be, so if the way you start, the way your mindset is when you start, a lot of times I do a lot of work with people in order to, and I work with the majority women, is order to be like, you're doing this because you know, you love yourself, your body's already fine the way your body's fine the way it is, but you're improving. We're always wanting to improve. We're always wanting to grow. And it's not, and it is the way it is because maybe we're doing certain things that is not for it. It's not necessarily supporting it or helping it. And if we can do better when we know better, but you don't want to self-hate in the situation, the place we are now, because everything you do is like a punishment. So your mindset of like, I'm bad, I'm wrong, and I'm punishing myself by eating this carrot and working out hours per day is not a necessarily healthy place to start. So kind of work on your mindset before you start and your whys of why you're starting, and having it be something that's meaningful and important to you is important. But then also the second part of mindset is that as you start to work out, if you're working out in a healthy way where you're getting small wins, where you're starting to get the endorphins up, where you're starting to get energy, and you're starting to eat in a healthful way where you're starting to sleep better, you're starting to detoxify, then you start to feel better about yourself. So your mindset or your views on why you're doing what you're doing, or even yourself or your capabilities, does become more positive when you do work out, because you naturally start to feel you have positive endorphins that are released when you exercise or you move. So that is a natural way to manage anxiety, to manage stress, depression, and all these different mental health issues. So it's two ways. Mindset is how, like the mindset of how you start and why you're starting, and then the natural effects on your view of yourself and what you're doing. It's a very powerful thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, it definitely is something that, you know, even if for people that are listeners that are right now, you don't have to be an athlete to want to change your mindset or have a strong mindset. I know sometimes people are like, well, you know, I'm not an athlete. You know, I just go to the gym. I just work out, you know, but my
things that we're training for. You want to be like a strong mom or like a powerful dad. You want to be this businessman or businesswoman, and you can't show up properly if your body's suffering. Like if you're trying to be like that boss person and you like, you can't sleep, you're stressed out all the time, you're tired all the time, you're not mentally clear, like you're overweight, you've indigestion, like all these things are limiting your ability to perform in life. Right?
Yeah, no, it's a direct connection. And obviously some people this conversation definitely goes to individuals in corporate America, that are constantly maybe don't have the time to kind of, get that, sit down and have a healthy meal. They're on a go, fast food.
It's not just thing.
Yeah, it's and obviously we're here in the US, so fast food restaurants and stuff like that are very accessible to us. Could you describe a little bit more about like the holistic nutrition and what that is for our listeners?
Sure, but I just wanted to say, if you look at people who are high achievers, you always see that they have usually like a morning routine or something where fitness or exercise or health is a part of it. Because in order for you to truly show up, you have to be okay. You can't be struggling with your health and your blood pressure and all these different things and show up as your ultimate self. So that's one thing you do realize about high performers or high achievers is that they do have some kind of a health, nutrition, exercise, something, even if it's 20 minutes, incorporated into their lifestyle so that they're athletes. They're training to perform. They're training to get results.
In their own field. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah. Because a lot of the corporate people and executive people that I train and I deal with, like they have to show up, and then, so that's what
people depend on them too.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a performance, whether it be sales, whether it be marketing, you got to come in and you got to hit the ground running. So if that's their Olympic arena, then hey, look, they gotta come.
Corporate athletes. One of the guys that I train, he's like, "Yeah, you're training me to be a corporate athlete." Like I'm like nonstop.
That's the first time I heard that.
Yeah, man, corporate athletes, no joke. And that's how I started. That's why I started my own business, because when I first started training, this was like, 18, the same principles of determinations and perseverance and pushing past the challenge and the consistency of showing up and the benefits and the results that show up when you do those things in training transfers over to your mindset and how you operate in life. So it's a training ground for life. If you can have the consistency and the determination and the discipline and the why that's powerful enough for you to do these things, it transfers over into all areas of your life. So you can make goals and crush them in all areas of your life because you're training for that. Right? Your mindset is mentally stronger.
100%. 100%. And if you, it's one of those things where I think about it now, like, everyone has that opportunity to work on their mindset, but they just have to know that it is that important. The
mind is everything.
Yeah. It's obvious. It's a center for all of it.
Yeah, it controls what you do, why you do it. Like I think I've done a lot of things on neuralistic programming and just the language we use when we talk about ourselves. Our mindset is why we do what we do. Your mindset is why you're eating a pizza by yourself on a Friday night. Your mindset is why you're full and you keep eating all. It's a lot about your view. There's so much. It's beyond. Like I think your mindset is actually the first step, in all honesty. and the exercise and nutrition can help shift it. But yeah,
does that help? I was going to say, does that help with the holistic? Nutrition. Holistic. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yes. So holistic nutrition is looking at your health from the inside out and looking at it from a person specific situation and perspective. So from holistic nutrition, we look at, the different reasons why you specifically may be feeling unhealthy or unwell. So whether you're holding fat, whether you have a skin rash, whether you're depressed, whatever it is, and we look at the whole person and the whole life. So life circumstances and the way you handle those is a factor. The way you're working out, how much you're working out, what you're doing to work out is a factor. How you're eating, what you're eating. Some people can be won't do well on plant-based. Some people need a higher portion of protein. Some people, everybody's so unique. So like how everyone's fingerprint is different, everybody's so unique. So where you can have a general program that can basically be the foundation of health and fitness and can basically benefit everybody. And for the generalness of fitness and nutrition, it's fine to just do that. But some people might need a more specific like they may have a specific issue that a general program may not address because we're all very unique. So holistic nutrition is looking at the person individually and from the inside out. So is your colon blocked up? Is your liver detoxifying? Do you have leaky gut? Like whatever it is, like we're looking at the individual person and then working with those individual roadblocks in order to produce optimal health. So everybody can benefit by drinking more water. Everyone can benefit by eating more vegetables. Everybody can benefit by stop eating at 7:30 and eating every 2 to 4 hours. Those are basic things, right?
Towards, nutrition
goes more specific into the person.
In regards to like what made you dive into like owning your own business, was there something that made you say there was a spark that said, look, this is what I need to do? Like, sometimes people have like that one experience that makes them be like, you know what, I need to help somebody. You help them, and then all of a sudden you're like, I need to help the world. And then what were you doing prior to it? Was it something at your old job? Maybe you were at the gym, you were working at the gym as a personal trainer. You realize that you weren't actually helping people. They were just coming in and coming out. And you were like, you know what? I need to have more one-on-one personal training with them and helping them transform. So was it something like that?
Yeah. So my first intro, whatever job was, I was a kinesiologist at a rehabilitation clinic. So I would rehab people from motor vehicle accidents who had hip or knee replacements. Those are basically the people that I dealt with. And I realized the power of the body to heal when it's supported and it's actually doing the right type of movements for the person. So I wasn't in holistic nutrition then, but through my own experience, through exercise, through training principles, through the effect it had on me, and then practicing that with rehabilitation clients that were completely disabled, basically, when they first came in, to being rehabilitated in a matter of weeks or months, I realized the power of the body. I had gotten a job doing I was in corporate fitness, and then in corporate fitness, one of the companies hired me to be a disability claims adjudicator. And that's basically the long-term disability claims adjudicator. So what that basically is somebody, when you go on disability, you go to this person's supposed to take care of you, your physiotherapist, all of the treatment practitioners that train you, and their job is basically to get you back to work. And so this was probably this is the only corporate job that I've ever had. And I hated it. I hated it with every being in my soul.
Oh my God. I don't want to go to work.
I was like, this is the biggest piece of BS I've ever experienced in my life. And so I stayed there. I was only there for 3 months, but that was like a life-changing experience for me, because my job was basically to take people who were in pain and on disability off disability. And, and I was my job was to basically do it as fast as possible. Now they try to make it sound like it's, whatever. But the basic thing is I'm trying to get them off disability. So, whether or not they're 100% healed, you can do your job, back to work you go. And then in that experience, I realized it's so much easier and better for the employee and for the employer to basically prevent the cost of ill disease and to pay it afterwards. So I quit that job, and then I immediately started my business after. So when I started my first 10, 15 years of my business, I was doing corporate fitness. So I would work with companies in order to make their employees healthier, because it's so much easier to prevent disease than to have to treat it after the fact. The pain and the anguish, the time wasted, the money wasted but at that time in the corporate world, from employees and employers, I was like, listen, this makes no sense to anybody. And then I went on a little rampage, a little crusade. I was all over the city, just like knocking on every door. And it was, made a massive difference. And then I had some personal issues that took place. And then I decided that I wanted to create a more personal platform of training women. And then that's when I started a women's boot camp, and I was training more in person and more one-on-one. And then with the pandemic, things drastically changed, and I had been traveling, but anyways, and then when I came back, I converted the whole business online, and that's basically where we are right now.
Now, you said online. Did this online come about because of COVID? Because I know, like, obviously that's been a big thing for a lot of businesses, entrepreneurs. Like, how did you have to shift when it came down to this whole pandemic?
Yeah, ultimately, I think online is more, I think, in a challenge, you can find a win or a benefit. Like in every situation, you can find the positive in it. And I think COVID did require that I go online so that I could continue to serve my clients. But at the same time, I have found that I'm able to serve them a lot better. It's different because people are used to being in person and touching them, but I can see you, coach you, and train you more often throughout the day. I can do nutrition and actually have real accountability because I'm basically in your pocket, and still coach you physically, just because I can do that. Some people find it challenging, but I think my personality just transcends the screen. So
I saw that on the website.
Having a party.
I saw that on that website.
I'm like, listen, I don't have to be there for us to have a good time. So I can see them, coach them, train them, correct their form, all that kind of stuff. And yes, everything is online right now. I run all my programs, all three, the jump starts, the one-on-one, and the group training, all online right now. And I personally love it. I think it's
amazing,
different, but it's good.
Amazing. I know that when this pandemic had hit, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I got to get onto this online thing. But, I feel personally when it comes down to it, you have to be a certain type of person. You have to have a certain type of energy or charisma to actually make it be successful, and since you're passionate about what you do, and on top of that, your personality, it's like an energy that you have. And maybe it's because of the food you put inside of your body. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
that type of energy pops out. Or maybe it's just that Caribbean background, that helps you with ignite people from a screen. And I feel like that's very hard to do. And after a while, some people can get bored, just watching the screen and not being physically next to somebody. When you started off your company, you said you started off at what age? 18 or something, you said?
I think I started when I was 21.
21. I'm saying you were very young age you were mentioning. How did you feel about being an African-American woman, Caribbean background, if that was the case, going into these corporate jobs and really just trying to like convince or even direct people's mindset to a different direction? Like just walking in there. How did you work on developing, establishing relationships with these clients? I mean, sometimes they're like, well, you might be too young. You don't have enough experience. How did you set yourself up for success?
Yeah, like I feel like in regards to race, I don't feel like I've ever had me personally had a boundary for that. And I think I'm very mixed and diverse. So I just and I was telling Greg also before, when I came here, I was different. I was definitely very different. I spoke like right now, I can't even speak Plato if I wanted to. But when I came here,
you just gotta go home. Just go home for like a week.
When I go back home, they're like,
excuse me?
When I go back home and I'm around like my family and stuff like that, then it does start to sneak back out. But anyways, the point is, I think you just have to be really passionate and committed to what your mission is and what it is you're trying to accomplish. So I was so upset by that corporate experience that I had. And I was so disgusted and emotionally just like charged on the situation that I was basically on a mission. So I knew I had an answer. I knew there was a problem. I knew companies were paying too much money. I knew they were paying unnecessarily. I knew employees were suffering unnecessarily. Like I knew all these things. So when I went in to speak to like legitimately the CEOs and like you have to start off with the HR people most times. But then I read this book called Beetle, the very top. Okay, what it stands for. Anyways, basically just bypassing the front desk and getting to the very top officer. So I managed to do that. And I started going in and really talking to like the senior people, if not the owners of like mid-sized companies. And I was just very serious that like, this is a problem. And they really got the integrity and the authenticity of what I was saying. And because I was in disability claims, I had the stats, I had the information, I would offer like a discounted, 1 month trial. And then when I would do that, the employees would just be like the change in like 4 weeks. So then they would just keep it on, right? Sometimes people need to. So I think it was really just being really fired up about what it is I was trying to do and my why and what I was trying to do it.
That's good. Yeah. That's
gender
amazing.
Wasn't a factor to me. Race wasn't a factor to me. Like I really didn't care. I have to tell you this.
You're like, I'm going in and
we're going in.
Bottom line. That's and you know what? That's the mindset again. That's again the mindset. Like you were like, look, I might be younger than a lot of the individuals I'm going to be coaching here in this corporate environment, but I'm going to make
sure. You were too.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't know the name. You were just developing the business. I just wanted to ask you that as an expert in the field, like, what do you think are the biggest challenges that you face and you should be working on to improve? Like, what are some of those challenges you face right now?
Like, what do you mean?
Like in your field right now, what is like one of the biggest challenges? Like, for example, like, I could assume that one of the biggest challenges you have is really just helping to convince people that it is possible. Some people, they start off with you for a couple of days and before you know it, they're eating burgers in the corner, right before they come see you. Right. And you're like, no, you're going back on what we worked on. Like, what is some of the challenges you face?
Yeah, I think the two main things is the diet mindset three main things. So the diet mindset, people really are conditioned to like feeling they need to eat less calories, processed foods or whatever, just like deplete. The over exercising, people really feel like they have to do all these crazy things, even if they can't even squat or lunge properly. They want to be jumping on boxes and doing all this madness. That's another thing. And then the three thing, I'm like,
you know those people in the gym. I know.
Just can we touch our toes, first of all?
Shout out to those people that be in the gym doing too much, but we love you for that.
But that's what the industry puts out there, like the workouts you see people doing, and you're just like, for the general population, like, listen, can you like twist and put your seatbelt on properly? Can you touch your toes? Can you squat down properly without bending fully forward and like, having an issue? Like the majority of the population, that's where they are. Majority of the population is so inflamed and inflate, and like the body's so unhealthy. So then you start depriving it of calories and increasing the stress on your body. So there's just so much like strain and like all these negative unhealthy things that we're doing because the actual industry, that's what they promote. You have fit people showing these exercises when the majority of the population isn't that and can't do half of what they're. So they're not meeting people where they're at. So people are trained to think they have to, do all these different things. And then the mindset is also the other thing of like, I have to do this because I'm wrong or I'm bad. And then like we talked about earlier, it's like, then you're constantly fighting this thing versus, you have a goal. So if you're an athlete, you're like, okay, I have to do this because I want to run faster. Like if you put yourself in a mindset of an athlete, or you put yourself in a situation where you have a goal and a why, it changes why you're doing it. You're getting married, or you're going on vacation, or you have some kind of, so there's something like, you're doing it for. So for an athlete, whether it is, you're trying to run a 5K or a 10K or whatever it is you're trying to do, okay, I'm eating because I want to run faster. I want to be lighter so I can run faster. My joints are inflamed, so I got to do this so my joints go down. It's not because, oh my God, I'm too fat and, whatever. And I think those are the three factors: mindset, poor understanding of nutrition and feeling like you have to be deprived and limited, and then over exercising and doing things your body just is not conditioned to do right now.
Yeah, and that obviously stuff like that could lead to like injury, and then before you know it, you're like,
people start running. I've never run before 5K, and then next thing you know, their shins are like their knees are
burning. Can you tell us some tips that you would think that are like the most valuable to someone starting their journey? Something that they could do on a day-to-day basis. Obviously there's physical stuff, there's mental stuff that they could be doing. Like, but what are some basic tips that you could give to somebody?
I think what I really train people a lot to do is really connect with your body and just to see, like, actually check in and see like what's going on with it right now. I believe walking is like the best thing a person can do, especially if you're just starting out. So walk before you run. I have people, have a pedometer, all this Apple phones or Apple Watches and Fitbits and like whatever, collecting 10,000 steps per day. And that is for somebody who's inactive, collecting 10,000 steps per day just to kind of get your body moving. If you've been doing that for a while and you want to start, training to run a 5K or doing a 5K, you do it in progression. So you might do intervals. So you like run for 30 seconds, walk for a minute, and you do that for the full 20 minutes. Just basically progress up versus trying to do it all at once. For nutrition, the basic foundation of all nutrition is getting at least 2 liters of water. That's for like a person who's not active. Your body is 75% water. All metabolic functions happen in the base of water: fat metabolism, your brain function, your liver detoxification, everything. So if you can at least get 2 liters of water in you, that's massive, and that doesn't cost you anything. That's easy. And if you can try to increase your vegetables to at least 8 or 10 servings, and a servings could be like about a cup of vegetables throughout the day. Those 3 things.
Is one cup of vegetables?
One serving is a cup. So if you get 8 to 10 cups of vegetables per day, so you can make a stir fry, you can put like spinach in your eggs in the morning. You can do a smoothie with vegetables and a little bit of fruits. You can do like stews. You can do a whole bunch of different things. You can cook up some callaloo and some saltfish. You get some boiled banana.
Yes. Don't get me started. Don't get me started out here. I love good breadfruit. That's what.
Yes. But you can bake it, add some sea salt to it, and it tastes just as good. And one of the things with cooking, this is just a side tip. So the 4 basic tips I was going to say is this mindset, getting out and give you 10,000 steps, getting your 2 liters of water, and getting 8, 10 vegetables. But if you're cooking, and my ethnic people, our oils is the big problem. So do not cook with olive oil and do not cook with vegetable oil. If you're going to be cooking with anything, use coconut oil or avocado oil. That's one of the biggest things you can do to turn our ethnic foods into something that's not so detrimental, because it's really the oils that kill us, that are just kind of like increasing the blood pressure, increasing the cholesterol. That's where the majority of the issues are. And then if you're eating something with skin, like chicken, you can jerk your chicken, but try to jerk without the skin if you could, especially if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And then all of our
skin has the issues. That's what you're saying.
Like all the saturated fats, and that's what's blocking the arteries, increasing blood pressure, and causing heart and blood pressure issues. Right. So you can make simple changes, still get the flavor and the texture and all that good stuff. Any ethnicity, we have delicious foods. We have raw spices and seasonings and delicious rich flavors. It's a lot of the times the way that we're cooking it, and changing the oil is one big factor, or, even that's the way you cook it, from fried, maybe baking it or barbecuing it or like whatever.
Now we're on the topic of food. You got me thinking right now. Like, what's the deal with this vegetarian vegan thing? Do you think that's recommended, that people should be going in that direction? I know that's a big battle. You go into a restaurant like, I can't eat here, I'm vegan.
Yeah, but so many people do vegan like in some kind of crazy way. They do vegan, they're eating like corn chips and like pasta all day long.
Oh wow.
When you do vegan, you're eating like bread, like avocado toast, and like just too much starchy carbs. So the plant-based body program that I do, I kind of put it out there as the program for non-vegan. So I really believe it's beneficial to everybody, no matter who you are, to give your digestive system a break and to really just nourish yourself with phytonutrients, which is the nutrients that come from plants. The change in the 30 days is so massive and so drastic that after, you have no other choice but to be a little bit different than when you first started. So some people do stay vegan. Some people go back and they have 2 days a week, they go plant-based. Some people, they only have meat once a day, or some people just kind of, they go back to eating meat, but they just end up eating so much more plants because they just realize the benefits. And by plants, I'm aiming towards more like green vegetables, like fruits, but more vegetables than starchy vegetables like potatoes and like pastas and breads. Are not really what you're trying to do for vegan life. You're trying to be nourished. So I think some people will do veganism and they are losing the health benefits of it. Yes, giving up meat has health benefits, but there's also equally as important is pumping your body full of plant nutrients that are actually going to give you that energy.
Now, I know a lot of people in the Caribbean are vegetarian. I know like some of the cultures that are out there. The
Rastas are all vegetarian. And yes. a lot of the people that go through my program are, like I said, my clients are West Indian, especially the men. They're like, what? Give up meat? I don't know about this. Yeah. So, but it's interesting because once they do it and they feel the benefits, the program is packed full of like amazingly delicious recipes because flavor and texture is so important to do it properly. And I create the meal plans. I give them the shopping list. Like, it's so easy. So if you don't know how to do it, I completely make it easy. But the island people, especially the men, I wasn't too sure how they would respond. It has like, it's sustaining, it's fulfilling. And even afterwards, it's like something that they maintain. Even if not, like, they're not vegan, like I'm not vegan, but I eat a lot of plants. I eat clean, I eat a lot of plants. And I continuously do this 30 days because it has such massive benefits on my body.
And you're saying if you had to recommend giving something up, you're saying giving up steaks and burgers is probably a lot better off than giving up chicken.
Yeah, red meats are higher in saturated fats and they're more inflammatory to your body. So, and each person's different. People have different chemical makeup. So, people are just different. If you're going to have red meats, and after you've cleaned up your system. So like, I do believe you need to give your body a time to repair, like, 30 days, 6 weeks, whatever. You do need to give your body a chance to be like, okay, I haven't had these things in my system. Now, when I put it back in my system, let me see how I'm going to respond to it. Because some people find that the meat is just so hard to digest, and a lot of that their digestive issues is because of the amount of meat that they're eating. But red meat does have higher saturated fats. It is more inflammatory typically. But if you get organic or you get farm raised, it's a little bit better. The chicken, because it's so mass produced, because in North America, we just eat so much chicken, the way they are produced is pretty suspect. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty damn suspect. So, everything, nothing's perfect. Even fish, you can find faults with fish, but you want to stay more to like, fish, white fish if you can. If you have chicken or beef or red meat, you try to keep it as clean as possible and just not too much of it. And your body will thank you. Mm-hmm. And you'll feel it. You don't even have to like mentally make a choice to do it. If you give your body that break, like my jump starts the 4 week and the 6 week, gives your body a break so that when you do put food back in, you can be like, oh, this thing that I've loved all my life is actually killing me. Like, ow. I thought I loved milk, but milk doesn't love me.
that is something that, sometimes people have to kind of give it up just for a while and then
you have to,
test it out. Yeah, you never know.
Life.
You never know. Is there someone in your life currently or someone along your journey that you looked up to be like a mentor in your life to kind of help you along this journey? Because I know, like, obviously owning your own business, pursuing this career, was there someone that you looked up to or someone that's like kind of coached you and helping you develop in your business and your mottos and what you've been doing?
I have really discovered the benefits of coaches. And lately I had a business coach when I first started my business, which was so impactful because I was young. I was 21. This business coach helped me to get a corporate mindset and understand how to create a marketing piece of material, and he's the one that recommended this book, Selling to Vito, and how to approach these very top officers. And then I had taken Toastmasters to learn how to speak with more confidence, and not Toastmasters, a public speaking program, how to speak with more confidence and do that. And then for a large majority of my career, that's kind of rode off of that. And then since my business has pivoted, I have hired business coaches again, just trying to inspire and ignite me, because I've been doing this for 20 something years now. So, you constantly have to keep yourself fresh and inspired. And then because this is a lot of IT, which I'm not excellent at. So I've hired coaches to help me in the areas where I'm not as strong, and to learn to continuously grow. So part of it is continuously growing, continuously evolving in your nutrition, in your fitness, but in life as a whole. And you have to continuously keep learning and growing, because that's what we're meant to do. We're all living things, right? And life changes. You have to be able to adapt to change,
You got to keep evolving and knowing, something that you might have loved eating back in the days. You got to have to, at some point in time, realize that it might not be what you need to be eating right now.
Yeah, but it's not someone telling you, hey, that's bad for you, don't eat it. You have to actually experience it. Take it out of your body and then put it back in. You're like, oh my God. Is this what it's been doing to me all these years?
Massive difference. Is this something that you would recommend? Because obviously I know there's individuals that are opening their own businesses, their own practices, or even looking to be personal trainers, transformation coach. Is there any advice that you would give to someone who's starting off as a transformation coach?
I think you have to really live it yourself. You can't just, and it takes experience. When you're first starting off, you're passionate about it. I would say, get the proper certifications. A lot of people are into health and fitness, and they didn't at least get the proper certifications in order to be credible in what you're saying, for liability and stuff like that. But also just continuously live it yourself, learn from experimenting with yourself, trying different things, and then surround yourself with people who you admire, who are doing things that you aspire to do. Continuously grow in that way, because you're not going to know it all in the beginning, and you're not going to necessarily feel 100% confident in yourself in the beginning. But if you have people around you that are supporting you, and just teach where you're at. So wherever you're at, there's always somebody behind you that doesn't know what you know. So if you know how to, I don't know, do a lunge. There's somebody out there who doesn't know how to do the lunge. So you're going to just basically teach what you know. Then as the years go by and you learn more stuff, then what you teach will expand. You don't have to have this big repertoire of everything and do everything under the sun. Because there's always somebody who doesn't know what you know. And you'll have more impact, and you'll have more authenticity if you are teaching something and honest about what you know and what you can actually help people with.
Anita, thank you for just sharing a lot of your journey, and about how to, whether you're trying to be a transformation coach, whether you're trying to be in corporate fitness, shout out to anyone in corporate fitness, but if you're trying to develop this different mindset, I think you've given a lot of great gems on how to do it. I know sometimes it's the hardest thing is just starting. Right.
Yes.
And there's a good amount of times where people are like, I want to start, but I don't know how to start. And sometimes it's just the little things you got to do, that can kind of make a difference, that gives people the momentum and the obviously the discipline to start that consistency in their life. And I think that the work that you're doing is very impactful. I know that obviously you have a lot of individuals that you have inspired and even helped them to create a better mindset. I feel like in life in general, people just got to be happy. That's the biggest problem in the world. People just not happy. Yes, if there's obviously it could be money, it could be hunger issues in the world, but again, that stems from something of happiness. Something happened where this person's not happy and they're not able to, and I'm not saying that people that are homeless or less than fortunate are not happy, but something might have happened along the way where they're not experiencing that happiness that they want. But then it comes back to the mindset. How do I get out of that? And that might come through just eating healthier food. That might come through working out. But I think the work that you do in any transformation coach, I think that's very, very, very crucial, because wellness is a big thing in this country that needs to be addressed. And you're like on the front line, you know, really making sure that these individuals are really seeing value in what you do and seeing the true beauty in themselves. Like you said, when you came here, you were like, you know, my skin, or I was a little bit overweight, or I didn't feel, you know, beautiful at some type of point. And then you just continue to just develop and grow. And now you're just sharing that with everyone. So I thank you so much for, you know, sharing all that advice and knowledge with our listeners today. You know, if there's any way we could help support you in your journey, definitely let us know. But if you could let the audience know, like, how do they get in contact with you? Give us your social media. I know you mentioned about your programs. Is there your website? You could probably let them know so they could kind of find those programs.
Just before I say that, I just wanted to add to what you were saying. Whether you're rich or you are financially challenged at the moment, you'll find that people can be unhappy, and it's not money that makes you happy. And one of the things that I have truly learned over my 20 plus years is that self-love, self-acceptance, and celebration of yourself is massive. So whether you're from a different country, or you might have a few extra pounds, or you're a female, or you might be a different color, you have to have self-love, acceptance, and celebration of yourself if you're trying to find true happiness. And the things that you do are because you love yourself, because you accept yourself, and you're celebrating yourself, and it makes the whole journey that much easier, more rewarding, and enjoyable. So based on what you were saying in regards to happiness, I just wanted to say that. And then all of my handles are basically Live with Anita. Live stands for Live in Vitality Every Day. So the website is livewithanita.com or liveinvitalityeveryday.com, which is a little bit harder to remember. On Instagram, I'm Live with Anita. I don't really use Twitter, and on Facebook, I'm Live with Anita. So I look forward to connecting with anybody. If anybody has any questions or wants to find out more about what I do offer some ways to work with me and try things out and just get your feet wet. If you're concerned that you don't know how to start, or you don't think you're going to be able to maintain it, all those worries and concerns are not something to be concerned about. The only way to start is to start. The only way to do that 1 mile is to take that first step. And you don't have to worry about what the next step is. Just take the first step and then take the next step, because change is difficult. It's one of the hardest things that people have to manage in life is change. And I completely get that. So if you are interested, definitely reach out to me. I have different ways for you to try out the different things that I do. And I'm more than happy to support you and have a conversation with you if there's any way that I can help. And thank you, Paul, for having me. I really enjoyed this time with you and the conversation.
Love it. Love the connection. And obviously we share a couple things in common, from whether it be coming from the Caribbean, whether it be motivating people to excel in their field, or even just being a track athlete. You know, I think I'm not vegan or vegetarian just yet. I felt kind of bad on this conversation for a second.
You don't have to. I'm not vegan or vegetarian.
I know. I was like, oh man, I got to give up that meat. But you made it clear that there's certain things you could do, from the oil, taking off the skin. I was like, I'm taking a couple notes here myself. So
big difference.
After this conference, I might have to just, start chefing up in the kitchen.
It's the small changes that make the biggest difference.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. If you want to hear more stories about Anita, check us out on ZakaConnect.com or follow our feed Zaka, wherever you listen to your podcast. Until the next time, listeners, thank you again, Anita.
Thank you, Paul. Take care, everyone.